definitely go for it. But I would definitely advise and strongly advise that if you're going to freelance, that you do a lot of groundwork up front.
I think it's really important to go get a job and work under somebody else and learn a bit before you jump into freelance.
I definitely recommend working for a firm, or at the very least working in-house as a designer for some sort of company, because you learn tons of stuff during those first 2 years to 3 years that you do it. You learn from designers who are currently in the field, you learn from the art directors that you take direction from. You sort of learn how the business works as well. You also, as an additional benefit, sort of build up a list of clients as well as a list of other designers that you can come back to for networking, for job referrals.
First, I would say try to work for someone for at least 2 years, because I feel like it gives you just a better background knowledge of how some of these organizations that you end up freelancing for, how they work. So, with these organizations, there's sales teams, there's marketing teams, there's accounting departments, and when you've worked for a larger organization, you get a sense for how all of that comes together, so that when you're freelancing, you kind of know what happens to your work once it is placed in their hands.
Go through and do some time in the industry, okay? And do some time in the industry to really learn what it's like to be in the industry, to learn what it's like to be dealing with clients, to learn what it's like to have a boss. You can't understand how to be a boss unless you have worked for someone.
I would go back to this idea of networking in places other than just with designers. Networking where there are other business people, because they're the ones that are going to be hiring you.
The difference is when you're freelancing, you're often on your own. You're working on your own time at your own pace, and that's wonderful and it feels good. But what you don't get is a sense of collaboration. You don't get any insight into how teams work. You don't get any insight into processes that other agencies or design firms would use.
It is a difficult job. It's not unmanageable. You can do it, but be aware that it is challenging. It takes a lot of time, often all your time, in order to find clients, get the work, collect payment for the work, and continue to enhance your reputation. So it is a lot of work. It's definitely not the easiest career path in graphic design.
Understand that you will be doing everything for yourself. That means you're not going to be able to just spend all your time doing graphic design. You will have to be the person that answers the phone, the person that sets the appointments, the person that goes and networks. You are your own sales and marketing department.
You're gonna have to wear a lot of hats as a freelancer, things that you don't necessarily think about. There's way more to design. You're gonna have to manage the project. You're gonna have to manage your finances. Like, you're gonna have to wear a lot of hats. It takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of time to build a client roster. I think that's one of the things people don't necessarily think about, is that it can be a little bit of a slow start trying to get your footing, unless you really have some key connections out of school, some things that are gonna feed you work consistently. And that's pretty rare if you're fresh out of school.
Establishing yourself working as a freelancer, you've got to have your, guidelines set in place, get good credentials, and be very prepared to write up a contract for sure.